Hey, get your money down.
That's the first thing. That is the first thing that people are going to hear when they click on this to play this video live.
That's fine. Billy Squire, right?
Yes.
Yes.
John Squires.
John Squires, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Freddy in space. All right, let's just start this.
Start this garbage. This nonsense.
This is absolutely fantastical fuck-tarded. That's what it is. All right. And in 3, 2, 1. Oh.
Welcome to the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast.
Mr. Pop.
Meow, meow, meow.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast. I am Jeff Konopka, and tonight, at the moment, I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Jesse the Batman Bartell.
Hey guys, I'm Batman!
And we are here tonight. Chad will be with us in a little bit, but he's getting situated in his mom's basement.
Yep.
More on that later.
He's fucking some puppets or something.
It's an actual thing. He's probably playing with his dolls,
He's growing out his neck beard as we speak.
making sure nobody moved his dolls around in his absence. But we're here tonight. We're going to be talking about a little indie film that none of you have probably seen. It's an independent movie that's been flying under people's radar.
At the art houses.
Limited
Is that new-
release.
That new Terrence Malick joint.
And Terrence Malick's Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Oh
Or-
man, imagine if Terrence Malick directed a Superman movie.
It would be pretty amazing.
That'd be pretty great. It'd be like Superman playing in trees the whole time.
My alternate title for it is Mac-Man versus Supreme Man, Dawn of Muscles.
Dawn of homoeroticism.
As I found out, it was possibly an apt title for it. But if you're just listening for the first time, we usually do this every week on Wednesday nights, usually sometime between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. We start and we sit down, shoot the shit for a little while, maybe talk about some movies, and then we do a featured review of a movie that is either new to theaters or new to VOD, yada, yada, yada. As I said, this week will be Batman versus Superman. Next week, I don't think that we're going to be doing a new movie. I don't know. We might be starting our Wes Craven retrospective next week, just as a. I don't think there's anything coming out this week, to be honest with you.
No, there's that Charlton Copley first-person shooter movie.
Is that this week?
Yeah, it's this weekend.
Oh, well, maybe that's what we're gonna do then. We're gonna review hardcore pornography or Henry or
Whatever
whatever.
it is. Yeah,
We'll
hardcore
leave that
Henry.
discussion, but that's a thing. So yeah, we do this every week. If you want to listen live, you can always find us on our YouTube channel. So that's really easy. You just search out Dead Air Horror Podcast or whatever on YouTube. You can find us. Simple. And if you want to find back episodes that are up for your listening, there are hundreds of them at this point. You can either go and use your iTunes feed or, Stitcher or whatever podcast app you use. It's probably in the feed there, or you can go to deadairpodcast.net. And if you want to help support us, there's a little link on that page on deadairpodcast.net that goes to Amazon, and you can go when you have to buy your sex toys or whatever it is that you people buy on Amazon. I won't know what you bought, but we will get a cut of that money, which will go to help us keep this show going and maybe get us so that we can and go out to some of these conventions and stuff like that. So we can meet you and hang out with you and get drunk with you and then let you realize that we really are, in fact, not as cool as you probably think that we are. Or maybe even worse than you thought we weren't. Right?
Or something.
We're a bunch of weirdos. And my eye keeps twitching tonight. That's the kind of night I'm having. Seriously. My left eyeball, or eyelid, probably more accurately, has been just nonstop twitching for the last few days. And it may have something to do with the fact that since Sunday morning, I've had a total collective amount of sleep that probably is around 12 hours.
Oof.
It's been rough. Jesse, you like just got back home like 4 hours ago from Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm still reeling in from the ferry, so I'm doing all right though.
So if anybody sounds tired or grumpy or anything tonight, it's probably going to be because everybody's fucking tired. And Chad just got off a plane like an hour ago to Maryland, and he's going to be attempting to podcast from his mom's basement.
like a real podcaster.
Yeah, and I retweeted his statement about how he's going to be podcasting from his mom's basement. I was like, Chad has become the living stereotype of a podcaster. He's a big guy in his mom's basement, probably sitting there in his underwear.
Definitely
to
sitting
the
there.
world about comic book movies.
Pretty soon he's gonna be posting on Return to Kings forums and whatever else those people do.
All that crazy shit. So that's what's new. That's what's going on. As far as other stuff for the podcast, like I said, either next week we'll either be reviewing that Hardcore Henry movie, or at some point we got to start this Wes Craven thing. So I'm gonna have to put the foot down on that pretty soon. It depends on when I get my introduction ready. The Cloverfield episode from a couple weeks ago, because we didn't podcast last week, and if anybody was wondering why, it was basically just because everybody is just way too busy. And last week was just one of those things where there wasn't really anything new in the theater, and none of us really felt like having to track something down to podcast about. So we just were like, you know what? Let's all just do something like sleep or, you know, masturbate. I don't know. That's probably what.
I like that option though.
Like that option?
Mm-hmm.
That is a good option. You know, I mean,
you can't lose.
For all we know, that's what he's doing right now. Jesse has his camera off, so I can't confirm nor deny.
But you can hear.
I can hear it.
Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, good. There you go.
Oh man. So that's what's happening with that. But the Cloverfield episode is still not up in the feed, because if you were listening to that, you know that we had a lot of technical problems with that. I don't know what was going on, but Google Hangouts got really fucking angry and it just booted us. And then not only did it boot us, but it would not let me rejoin the phone call that we had going on. So we had to move it over to a whole nother page. And then there was some other thing that happened. So I ended up with a whole bunch of files that I now have to put together and actually spend time editing, which means that I have to not sleep even more. So it's going to get up there. It probably won't get up there before this episode, but that's all right.
R.I.P. Jeff.
I apologize, but I don't. So it's like a sorry, not sorry situation. It's just been crazy, man. It's just been crazy. Everything that's been going on here. And then, I mean, fuck, man. So Chad picked this movie tonight. So if you're wondering why we're reviewing Batman vs. Superman, well, we did review Dark Knight Rises, like, what was that, like 3 years ago or something?
Mm-hmm. I wasn't on that one, I don't think.
Yeah, you were.
Was I?
Me and you.
All right. Cool.
Yeah,
man, go listen to that episode.
That's up there in the feed somewhere. But we did review that. Usually a lot of
I
times
like that movie. I remember liking that movie.
a lot of times we don't review like the comic book movies and stuff, and it's not because they don't fit in, because I mean they're genre movies, whatever. But I know Chad was really excited for this movie and he wanted to review it, so that's the one we picked. And I don't know, it's probably a good choice. There's been obviously a lot of discussion. I don't even know if I'd call it discussion.
There's been a lot of shouting.
There's been a lot of yelling and flailing and just general like nerd rage, and probably like more so than usual, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't even know where to begin with that. I mean, we're gonna talk about that. In fact, so tonight, as soon as, I mean, hopefully Chad's gonna get on soon, and tonight we're probably going to focus mostly on the review, so we're not really going to talk about other stuff that we've been watching tonight, just because, like I said, everybody's tired and it's been just one of those weeks, and there's still more of the week left. I still have to take my fucking garbage out tonight, man. I don't want to do that. I got to do that, and I got to get a bunch of other crap together just so I can get up, go to work tomorrow. And then I can fix my car before I have to take it in to get my state inspection on Friday. And then this weekend, I'm supposed to go out on a date with somebody from the internet. So if I'm here next week, it's probably because I got murdered.
You got catfished.
So if I just disappear after Saturday, it's probably because I got murdered by somebody who was pretending to be a
sexy old dude.
So I'm in some pit in the guy's basement.
Yeah.
And he's spraying me with a hose.
He's got a little doggy.
I might enjoy that though.
Hey, I mean it's a break of the monotony, right?
It's true, and I wouldn't have to go to work.
There you go. And you'd have a great story to tell if you survived somehow.
If there's the big if. But you know what? If I didn't survive, it might be all right.
Yeah, I mean,
you think about that, like, I mean, it's not like I killed myself then, right? So my son gets a whole bunch of money because my insurance.
There you go.
You know, there's a happy ending somewhere. There's a silver lining.
Then he can play all the Wii U games by himself.
Pretty much, you just inherit the Wii U. Until his mother takes it away from him. But no, there's been a lot of people just being angry, and I don't know. Like I said, we'll touch on that when we get further into thoughts about the movie, because I think it's almost impossible to separate the two. But I also think that it's probably a pretty fair statement to say that when we do get into the review, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of non-spoilery stuff, because I think we really have to be able to talk about the full movie, right? And I think that in order to actually mention things about it, we're probably going to have to get into some specifics. But I'm going to assume, though, that most people that really want to see Batman vs. Superman have already seen it.
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody's like, oh, I just couldn't get to the theater last weekend.
Because it made a butt ton of money.
It did make a fuck ton of money.
Got that Tom Nook money.
Tom Nook money. And that's the other funny thing, is because it made all that money, and then there's still all that. Well, so it made all that money, but because it cost so much money, and because like how much money they spent on marketing, it still needs to make a lot more money in order to actually be profitable.
It's got to make that Star Wars money.
So there's definitely other. I don't think it's gonna make no Star Wars money. That's like almost $1 billion domestic, Jesse.
Man, that's crazy.
I know, right? Like, I still cannot believe that. That's fucking insane. But but they're two completely different things, and that's, I don't know. The whole discussion of film criticism that's been going on and people being angry and whatnot. I mean, I know that this has happened before, but I guess I just don't understand why people get so surprised every time, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what people always expect.
Because it's just one of those things where it's like, and then people start yelling about the critics, and it's like, well, then who cares? Just don't read their reviews. Like, I don't read Kevin Faraci's reviews because I fucking hate him.
Exactly. Just avoid it altogether.
I just think he's an asshole. I mean, he probably knows something about some stuff, and he probably has some valid points when he writes about a movie. But I just don't like him because he definitely will just go review a movie that he knows he doesn't want to see, and then tear it apart. And he doesn't even just say like it's a bad movie. He like says really mean things about it.
Right.
And I don't think even we're that bad. I don't think we've ever been like, the guy who made this movie should just go and wash dishes or kill himself instead of making movies.
Who, Victor Salva?
Well, that's a whole different story. Come on. I saw John Squires was posting, people were putting comments in that were defending Victor Salva. He's just like, these people are actually, if you can believe it, even worse than Victor Salva. It's like, how, like, I don't know how anybody can be like, oh, it's all right, he touched a kid, but it's not a big deal. What? How is that? Like, I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
There's a lot of, hey, listen, there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there.
Well, that I know for a fact. There's definitely weird shit. There's always weird shit going on. But yeah, I don't know. And like I said, we'll get into that whole discussion. But I guess before we do that, while we're waiting for Chad, Jesse,
Yeah.
how have you? I have not talked to you in almost the last podcast because you just like disappeared. So what's been going on? You were doing like some secret agent mission.
That's right.
At a bookstore. And you're taking weird shots of dogs and
Jack Reacher.
Yeah?
I am Jack Reacher.
You got Tom Cruise. Did you meet Werner Herzog?
I wish. No, I spent a week, more like 2 weeks, packing up an entire bookstore, which I don't recommend to anybody because packing up a store is one thing. Packing up like $100,000 worth of books is another thing. And carrying that around and having to organize that and get stuff for returns, and it's a lot of work, a lot of work, especially when there's only 3 people doing it. And then immediately after that was Easter. The day we got done, the day after was Easter, and the day after that I went away to Connecticut to visit a bookstore that we're partnering with the new owner, and met the team, and was learning a bunch of computer program stuff and doing all this fancy stuff. And it's just been sort of a whirlwind of 2 weeks-ish. And it's still going to be a whirlwind because we're going to have to we're doing renovations right now, but we're going to have to open an entire store, and that's a lot of work. And there's a lot of pressure on me and my coworker. So it's going to be pretty nuts coming up. So
pretty.
Yeah, pretty. So yeah, but it's been good. It's been fun. It's been a really fun, interesting couple of weeks. Connecticut was beautiful. Stayed at a bed and breakfast for the first time ever in my life, and it was great because the lady like cooked you breakfast in the morning, and she had wine hour at night where she'd give you a glass of wine and put out some. Yeah.
Was she giving blowjobs? Was it really a head and breakfast?
It was actually Michael Jackson. And he gave me the Jesus juice.
No. No.
No, but it was very Connecticut. What would be the
Connecticut?
I guess it was very Connecticut.
That word is gonna haunt me now. I can't even like.
It was a very like waspy experience, if you know what I'm saying. Like Connecticut's very waspy, and
lots of white religious people.
Exactly. And I was in the bookstore talking to one of the older booksellers there, and she was talking about diversity in the bookstore and trying to like show diversity. I was like, yeah, you're gonna want to like shake up these waspy residents here. And she's like, well, we have a lot of huge diversity around here. And then if you look it up on Wikipedia, it's like 97.4% is all white people in this place in Connecticut, in this town. And like it's like 6.1% is African American.
And by diversity they mean, well, they have some people that think that the gays should all be dead, and some people are like, well, they're not that bad.
No, it's just super funny. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're very open-minded, but it's a very, I don't know, it's just so funny because Connecticut is just so like their whole history is very much entrenched in very sort of Puritan, very white, very particular history. I want to be careful with what I say, but it's It's just kind of funny. But no, it was really great. Connecticut's very pretty and very quaint, and a lot of history there. But it was good.
It's probably a good time that you were around there, right? Because I mean, it was right around Easter time, and we're in this whole election thing where we literally have people running for president who are just like, you need to destroy Islam. Like,
yeah, there's a very strong Republican voice in Connecticut, and it's a little unfortunate. And not that Republicans are unfortunate, but the Republicans that the bad
you can be a
ones.
Republican and not be an asshole, but
Yeah, no, and there's plenty of those people that exist. But it's it's sort of that that Trump mentality. But anyways, moving on.
that Trump mentality.
It's very scary. But no, it's just been such a super fucking crazy couple of weeks, but it's been fun, and my job's gonna be very interesting this summer, so it's good. Everything's good.
Well, that's good because gotta keep that job, gotta keep that money coming in,
gotta keep that paper coming in so I can buy them Nintendo games.
Them Nintendos.
Them Donkey Kong games.
Donkey Kong. Let me tell you though, fucking Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Wii U is no joke. Like, it's some weird shit, and it's not even just like tough, but it's just fucking weird because
it's always weird because you got the old monkey, and then you got Diddy Kong, and you got the little girl Kong, and you don't know who the mom is.
Like riding on your back, and like you fly because she used her hair as a helicopter. And when the Kongs talk, I swear that they're just speaking in actual Japanese. So it's really weird because it's not even just like grunting. It sounds like it's actually like Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Like some, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's a pretty looking game though, right?
Oh, well, pretty much all the Nintendo titles for the Wii U
first party titles.
Yeah, are super, super nice to look at. And honestly, like, those graphics are pretty awesome. Like, I don't know, I know people shit on the system all the time. And I guess they're not going to be making it soon, right? So they're...
Well, yeah, I mean, they're obviously... probably this E3 we'll find out, but they're gonna have a new console coming out, and knowing Nintendo, they'll announce the new console and it'll be out this like October. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna stop production on the Wii U's. But I'm interested to see what they're doing. But I agree that it's interesting because I have a PS4 and a Wii U, and I would say that the first party Wii U titles, like, they have a particular look to them that the other consoles can't achieve. And there's well,
I think, weren't they one of the only ones that was using the frame rate that they were using?
Yeah, I mean, the pretty high frame rate. I mean, if you play like Bayonetta 2 and some of the other games, like, it's 60 frames per second, which is really high. And that's, the PS4 and Xbox don't really achieve that in almost all their games. A couple, but not really. And there's like a saccharin, like a sweetness to the Wii U games that you just can't achieve, or their developers just can't achieve, with Sony, and everything's so dark on the other consoles. But the Wii U, like, their first party titles, there's something very pretty.
Jesse,
yeah.
Are you trying to say that the Wii U is like Marvel movies?
The Wii U is like the
other systems are like fucking DC movies.
No, because I don't know. I don't even know if I like any of them anymore. But
shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired. But no, I mean, it's the Wii U titles. Like, there's just something about it that they can't be achieved on the other consoles, and they have there's something about the way they look that you just.
Well, let me just tell you this, Jesse. Uncharted 4.
I know it's gonna be like playing a movie.
I saw, like, I was watching like a commercial for it or something, and I was just like, oh my god, this looks like a fucking movie.
They've achieved their dream of making just like an Indiana Jones movie that you play completely.
That's better than the actual Indiana Jones movies that we're getting.
I think those are I think Uncharted 4 and the new Doom are like the two games that I'm like really pumped for. That new Doom looks amazing, but
I haven't checked that out.
I think you have to be of a certain age group to really like be excited about a new Doom game, because it's Doom. Like, it's jump pads, weapon power-ups. Like it's kind of like, like Unreal Tournament or Quake. It has that look and feel to it, for at least for the multiplayer from what they've shown. And there's pentagrams everywhere, and you summon the devil and cool stuff like that. But I don't know, like it definitely it has to appeal to like maybe an older crowd more, just because those games aren't really made anymore. Everything is competitive, modern war, first-person shooters. And
yeah, it's true.
And they're just sort of boring. But I miss the days of just like moving at incredible paces around a map and hitting jump pads and making people explode with a flak cannon.
Well, I think that's why I like the Wii U so much. Honestly, I think that's why I end up gravitating towards it. If you had told me that like a year or two, like 2 years ago, if you had told me that I was the only system I was going to touch of mine pretty much was going to be my Wii U, I would have been like, you're fucking nuts. But I got it, and at first it was Mario Kart. That's what got me to purchase the system to begin with, because I love fucking Mario Kart games. And then it was like, okay, so that's really awesome. And then I started going through some of the other titles, and I get it. They don't have a ton of fucking titles, but the ones that they have, are
really good.
Yeah, and I can play the shit out of them. Like, just keep playing them. You know what I mean? And play through them again and go back. And then the fact that you can just go and purchase for like $3 to $5 the old games,
right? Their virtual
console.
Yeah, their library is phenomenal. I mean, same thing with the 3DS. I mean, you just have all these games at your ready.
Yep. So
this is a Nintendo cast, guys.
Pretty much. I mean, when you have to stall by talking about video games. We're just all over the place here.
But I do agree with you, though. I play the Wii U more than anything else in my house. And I mean, I played a lot. And then when Gabby and I play video games, we play the Wii U like all the time. And she plays the Nintendo when I'm not here. Like it's just something that we all use communally. And
there's just domestic violence in that house over Wii Sports bowling.
There's a lot going on. I mean, it's been getting pretty ugly.
The Roy Bartel household is shook up. Angry-faced emojis posted pictures of Jesse bleeding from his mouth. Wii controllers with blood on them.
All I'm saying is that you do not want to have a girlfriend who's losing at Wii bowling at any time.
You don't want an angry Latina girlfriend.
No, exactly. Puerto Rican. Get that fire in her. It's scary.
Like those ancho chilies.
Yeah, it's like something deep down inside that's just angry.
And she's not afraid to cut a bitch.
No, it's just right. Spitting rhymes and slitting throats over here. It's scary.
Yeah. I guess I don't have those problems. I just have the problems of people that I talk to on the internet that I don't know that I'm gonna be going on dates with, and they're probably gonna murder me. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
That's a fear you should have. I don't think that you're naive for having that fear. Because
I need to bring a knife with me?
I think you should bring something.
Like
I don't know. I don't trust the world. I don't trust the internet.
Neither do I.
It's scary.
Which is weird though, because I guarantee you that there's a lot more people that know a lot more about us than we know about them.
Probably.
We come on here every fucking week. And we just talk about shit. We talk about personal stuff even. And people know who we are. And we have no idea who they are. And I mean, we've had this conversation before, because sometimes you'll get some uncomfortable messages from people. And they're talking to you like... So, like, there's one thing when we tease each other, troll each other. Like, I troll Chad all the time, let's say, right? And there are certain people that I'll troll back and forth with, but then you'll get like random trolling messages from people who listen that you don't know who they are. And you're just like, maybe you took it too far. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just kind of back off a little bit.
Pump the brakes.
But there's an upside to that as well, right? Because I get messages from people that are nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually get compliments from people these days unless it's regarding some of this stuff. I mean, there's not a lot of that goes on, because at work they're just like, fuck you, do your job. You know what I mean? You don't get the, hey, you did really good today. You just get the, here's this next fucking thing that you got to fix.
Yeah,
like,
here's this other paperwork.
Pretty much. Here's this other thing. Here's this other guy who's being an asshole that you need to help. So you get that. And then, I'm not going to get into the rest of my personal life, but that's mostly just like getting yelled at about things. So, so I don't know, man. It's a weird scenario. So again, if I'm not here next week, R.I.P. me.
Because he's R.I.P. you. He was eaten.
And speaking of R.I.P.s, more people died this week, Jesse.
That old actress died.
Yes. Well, first off, let's just say, and this one sucks because this dude was only like 45 years old, but Fife from Tribe Called Quest, 45 years old, died, diabetes.
Yep.
Tribe Called Quest was definitely, like, I saw Tribe Called Quest maybe like 20, Jesus, that was probably like 22 years ago, something like that. And, I mean, I've been a fan for a long time of their music, and I mean, that fucking 45 years old, dude, like, I'm not that far off from that. I don't want to be dead. So it's kind of sucks. I mean, I guess he had diabetes, and I guess he didn't control it, but
He didn't beat it.
It didn't. Oh, snap! Too soon, Jesse.
Sorry.
But yet, Wilford Brimley is still alive.
Somehow he's still alive. But yeah, we lose a member of a Tribe Called Quest.
How is Fife Dog dead, and Wilford Brimley still alive? I just don't get it. I mean, maybe it's the oatmeal.
Gotta be that
Probably
oatmeal.
the oatmeal. Probably the oatmeal. Gary Shandling
I know.
passed away.
That
I mean,
Larry Sanders Show, though.
Yeah, he was older, but that dude is a legend. And I mean, I realize, there's probably a lot of people out there that aren't as familiar with him now, like the younger people, right? Because I feel like Larry Sanders and the Gary Shandling show is probably like a little bit. I mean, it's been a while. You know what I mean?
IFC, what that was on, I believe. Or something.
Was it? I don't know. One of them was on HBO. Larry Sanders' show was on HBO.
Maybe it was HBO. Never mind.
But he definitely kind of preceded a lot of what we get now for
like Curb Your
television.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly, man. And so my buddy Noah from Austin on Twitter, when Gary Shandling died, he posted R.I.P. Larry David. And I got really scared when I saw that. And I was just like, no. And I clicked on it, and it was just a picture of Gary Shandling, and I was just like, you asshole. Like, come on, man. Because the day that Larry David dies, I'm just going to be like in mourning for the next month after that.
Put on a black armband.
Pretty much. And just my life will be over. And then, yeah, we lost Patty Duke a few days ago. Who, I didn't know this, but did you know that she was Sean Astin's mother?
Huh. Did not know that.
So that was his mom. And this is terrible because you know how she died?
She fell into the pit of Mordor.
No, the pit of Mordor. She never got back out of that cave from fighting the giant octopus. No, she had sepsis from a ruptured intestine, which basically means her intestine ruptured and the shit got into her blood.
Yep.
And that's not a good way to go, man.
Not at all, man. Sepsis is a scary thing that I've actually thought about and panicked about.
You thought about that?
Well,
So
I've not thought about it, but like had a fear of it.
How does I was gonna say, like, how does one exactly like sit down and be like, you know what, like I really hope that I don't get sepsis?
Well, like, you learn about sepsis and then you're like panicked that like, what if my innards just like leak and then
explode
and then I get really sick and just die. It's a real thought, man. Go to the bathroom frequently. That's all I gotta say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've thought about that before though. Like I have been, like when I'm at the movies, I guess, and like I really gotta pee. So speaking of being too personal,
Get a UTI.
giving too much personal information here. So I have like an iron bladder to the point where I can drink a lot. Like whenever I go out and I'm drinking, doing whatever, like I'm usually like, it takes me forever before I actually, I'm like, you know what? I got to piss. But when I got to go because there's usually like an ungodly amount of liquid that needs to be gotten rid of. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had it before, though, when I've been at the movies and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the movie and I start realizing I have to pee, but I don't want to get up because I don't want to miss anything. Because I don't like, unless the movie's crappy. Like when we watched Pixels, I got up during that and I went to go pee and I didn't even care what I missed. But like, you know, even if the movie's not necessarily great, most of the time I don't want to miss anything because then I feel like, well, I don't really know what happened while I was gone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be sitting there and I have thought before and been like, you know, like I really just hope my kidneys don't shut down.
Don't just backfire and explode.
And just start leaking all over my insides.
R.I.P. Jeff.
R.I.P. Patty Duke. Oh, and that's even worse because think about her last name.
Aww.
Maybe it just took it too far. I probably took it too far when I started talking about my bathroom habits.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything, but
you know, well, I'm not as bad as Chad. I still don't know where he is. He's probably in the bathroom.
pooping. He's probably getting rid of his sepsis.
He's tweeting. But he's nowhere to be found on here. So I don't know what's going on. I'll have to we are gonna have to eventually get to this movie review though. It's gonna have to happen. I'm trying to procrastinate. I do have one thing though that before we get into the review that so speaking of the film criticism stuff, right?
Yeah.
So our friend, and by friend I mean somebody that neither of us know, but we both follow him on Twitter and other places, Vince Mancini from Film Drunk, who is the weirdest guy because he's kind of like the frat bro douchebag type guy that you would think is just a complete dick, but he's actually like really smart in a lot of the ways that he writes the stuff he does. He somehow manages to be like broy and douchey but still make good points. I
like him very much. He's very he is smarter than he lets on. I feel a kinship to him because he graduated with an MFA from Columbia University, and he sort of has that writer mentality. And his opinions I trust more than most, or at least I entertain more than most, because he when he writes out his reviews, he articulates exactly what it is he's thinking in a very unique perspective, I guess. I like it.
Well, he does that, but he also somehow manages to like bring it across without. So you have some film critics that are just writing things and they just sound like they're from. So I can't stand the shit that's from a scholarly perspective, quite frankly, most of the time. Like, it's interesting sometimes, but I don't want to read that about most things unless it's something that I'm really super into. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then there's other ones that are just like, this movie's fucking dumb. Blah, blah. There's like the Devin Faracis, who it's like, you can tell that he has something to say and he's got an opinion, and that's fine because everybody's entitled to their own opinion, even if they're wrong. But you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, you got to walk that line, and he seems to be able to do it pretty well. But he also is pretty good at he understands the business, and he understands a lot of things that people aren't necessarily paying attention to, right? So there was did you read the article that he published not that long ago? It was Batman versus Superman, the myth that box office repudiates critics.
No, I did not.
So, okay. Well, he wrote this, and I'm just going to read the whole thing because we're waiting for Chad to get online. So, might as well. So, basically he says, Batman vs. Superman opened this week to massive box office, even after being panned by most critics, with a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. It says, to hear most outlets report this, you would think that critics experienced this while screaming into our mirrors as everything we thought we knew crumbled around us. "We'll get you for this, fanboys!" We'd scream, taking long drags on our inhalers. The following response was fairly typical, and keep in mind, these are the leading industry trades. So, quote, "Batman vs. Superman defied dismal reviews. Reviewers watched helplessly as Batman vs. Superman smashed record." From Variety. Under a "Do Critics Matter at the Box Office" headline that gets reused at least 3 times every year. And as Amy Adams said of the movie, "It's for the fans." They didn't make it with critics in mind. Warner Brothers domestic distribution chief Jeff Goldstein went back to that old industry standby, the audience-critic divide. Clearly, audiences have embraced it, and we are already seeing repeat business. It's just fun. Often there's a disconnect between critics and audiences. Meanwhile, Aquaman Jason Momoa reposted a terrible meme on Instagram about critics who can't act or know comics are a bit hypocritical. Incidentally, his Instagram name is Pride of Gypsies, which seems important. I won't spend any more time breaking that down than he spent reposting it, but even that's to say nothing of the strangely numerous DC Comics cheerleaders online who seem to think that critics were biased against DC movies. And then he posts a whole bunch of GIFs where people are saying, when critics want to know if you give a fuck about their biased reviews of Batman vs. Superman, fuck the critics, you pretentious biased twats watching Batman vs. Superman. I've read 35 Batman vs. Superman reviews from critics, and you can tell they are biased as fuck. I like YouTube video Batman vs. Superman is winning Marvel biased bitch critics are terrified. These are literal tweets. So he goes on to say, okay, so for the sake of intelligent discussion, we can throw out the random tweets because if you scrape the bottom of the internet pond, you're obviously going to find scum. Those were fun though, right? I didn't include them for nothing. But clearly, there's an idea out there that if poorly reviewed film does well, it means critics don't matter or that those critics will be mad about it. This doesn't seem complicated, but apparently it bears explaining. A ticket is something you buy to get into a film, and a review is something that you write after you've actually seen the film. Now, this is all in bold, so it does make sense. We'll see where he goes from there. But it says, if there's a disconnect between sales and reviews, it's because those two acts are inherently unconnected. People love to draw a distinction between, quote, fans and, quote, critics, while designating everybody who buys a ticket a fan. If you haven't seen the film yet, what would that make one a fan of? The marketing? We made this for people who enjoyed our marketing campaign and can't express opinions afterwards. He says, 1. Are critics and audiences' opinions really all that different? This idea of ticket sales as proof of disconnect is idiotic on multiple levels, which most people probably know intuitively, but the idea of disconnect gets thrown around so often that some people actually start to believe it. What, do these critics know of the common man? He says, this is dangerous business, studios. Reviews may not hurt sales for the most big-budget movies, but they can sure help smaller movies come awards season, as we always see. He says, are you sure that you want to be repeating this lie about reviews being out of touch when you're just going to be selling your quote-unquote acclaimed films again in 6 months? Be careful riling up the neckbeards. You may eventually reap what you sow. And then it says in parentheses, amber waves of dandruff. Pretty accurate. He says the facts. Batman vs. Superman scored a 29% recommended rating on Rotten Tomato. And he says this doesn't mean that most critics hated it. It means that 71% of those polled gave it at least a mild negative. He says, in fact, the average rating was 5 out of 10. So basically, the average critic's reaction was meh. As for the quote-unquote fans, whatever that means, is it really fair to call anyone who's curious enough to see a movie a fan? According to the ticket buyers polled by CinemaScore, Batman vs. Superman received a B, which sounds suspiciously like a meh to me. And he gives some historical context here and says that among comic book movies, Batman vs. Superman's B is the same score as Elektra, Catwoman, Daredevil, the Ben Affleck one, Green Lantern, and Batman Returns, which he does put in parentheses that he loves. And I can agree with that part. But he says that they scored 10%, 9%, 44%, 26%, and 80% recommended on Rotten Tomatoes, respectively. So he's saying in a divide, it sounds like critics and audiences are largely in step, and it's weird how many quote-unquote fans turn into quote-unquote critics after they've actually seen the movie. And he says that the films with worse cinema scores than Batman vs. Superman are Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance with a C+, Batman and Robin with a C+, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace with a C, and Fantastic Four with a C-, which that movie deserved way less than a C-.
It's a bad movie.
It's fucking terrible. I don't even think it's a movie. But anyway, he says, number 2, just as specious as the ticket sales mean critics don't matter argument is the idea that critics are somehow upset about people seeing a movie that they've panned. Now, sure, it would be nice if one of Michael Bay's Transformers turds did poorly enough at Paramount stopped making them after 1 or 2, but for the most part, critics are happy for audiences to see movies that we don't like. And he says, when's the last time you saw something you hated and didn't want someone to complain about it too? He says, this is anecdotal, but I think for the most part, we take a Dave, come taste how terrible this is approach to people seeing bad movies, which I think is true because... and this is me speaking, I believe that when I see something that's awful, the first thing I do is be like, this movie is so shitty, you have to see this just to believe it. And that's where most box office quotes come from. They just leave off the part about it being shitty. He says, this is human nature. If you see something truly sucky, you want others to know firsthand just how bad it is so that you can complain about it without feeling insane. He says, so studios, by all means, make lots of money on movies I hate. Use all that critical backlash money to help finance Charlie Kaufman's next batshit vanity project. Says, honestly, this is also painfully obvious that I can't believe I'm writing about it, but for all of the audience versus critics articles that have been written in the last 50 years, this week might hit a new high. And he says, please don't click on them. Remember, websites treat clicks like movie studios treat ticket sales. The ultimate justification, which is true. When you see clickbait and you click on it, you are just adding to the clickbait problem that's out there. So if you like to read clickbait, then click on it. But if you complain about clickbait, then stop clicking on it and reposting it. Because I see a lot of that too, where people repost pictures of it and they're like, this website is stupid. All they post is clickbait. Look at this article that they posted. And it's like, you're just causing the problem. So he concludes by saying that lots of people wanted to see Batman vs. Superman, and then they did. A lot of them, both critics and paying audience members, thought that it was sort of meh, though not as monolithic block. We don't vote on these things. So he says, judging by most of the evidence, proportions of lovers and haters in each group weren't that dissimilar. So that's his whole article. But I guess essentially what he's getting at there is that a movie making money doesn't mean that it's a good movie, but also, like, critics, like, it shouldn't even be really a discussion about, oh, film critics have some kind of power or something. Because people that have been talking about this seem to be acting like, well, first off, there was this whole conspiracy theory where they were saying that Marvel paid all these people to write bad reviews.
Was that real? Was that real?
Chad!
That was not real.
Chad
I've been
is
here for like 10 minutes. What do you mean, Chad?
We were stalling for you.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
No, you can actually hear that. That's amazing. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm down.
Yeah, man.
I'm down here in my mom's basement, so I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Chad is representing everything.
Can we see your collection of Magic the Gathering cards or what?
They're in my special drawer with my special magazines. I have wrestling magazines from years 1982 to about 1994, and then 1996 on up.
Magic the Gathering is pretty dope, though.
I can't even make fun of it. The kids that I work with love that game so much.
It's popular again.
Yeah,
it is.
It's somehow like Pokemon has lived on through video games, but Magic is still a card game that people.
You've got.
Dude,
on one hand, you have Magic, which is for the older kids, but I think Pokemon kind of starts it off.
Then like Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh.
I've seen an outrageous amount of Pokemon memes recently, and not even like when I say memes, I don't mean like just
Gary
memes.
Oakville.
I mean like if you go to like the Black People tweets accounts. Have you seen those? Like that's
Yes.
literally what they're called, Black People Twitter and stuff. And they're just like hood tweets from like quote unquote hood people, and they're talking about like Pokemon, and they're using like Ash, and there's this whole thing about Ash getting turned into stone and his hat flipped around the other way.
Oh no!
And some of them are just fucking hilarious. There was that one that I posted on Facebook with that lady's pregnancy picture where it looks like the baby is just like about to like fall out of her. And the guy's like, what is she, pregnant with Snorlax? And I'm just like, damn. Like, I think it's the generation of kids who grew up watching that cartoon, right? And that maybe that's why it's now this popular resurgence. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know. But anyway, this whole thing with people talking about Marvel paying off people to bash a movie is ridiculous. And that, I think we said, Chad, I think we agreed that even makes you look reasonable.
Well, first off, I don't know what that means. But anyway, I think that's kind of the dumbest argument you can make. I don't think that... Has there ever really been I mean, I'm sure someone... Maybe Harvey Weinstein has paid off people to like give bad reviews to competing movies, but I think Disney, worries about themselves. I don't really think that they pay attention to what other companies do.
Well, and they don't care, dude. They don't have another fucking movie coming out until May to worry about, and there's not going to be any competition at that point. I mean, it shouldn't be a one side or the other thing. It shouldn't be like you have to like Marvel or you have to like DC. And it also doesn't mean that, if you like some of the characters of the franchises that these movies are based on, that you have to like the movie as well. You cannot like it, or you can just be okay about it. Like, what happened to just being like, you know what, that movie was all right.
But here's the deal, is there has been this giant uprising ever since Man of Steel, and did you guys cover Man of Steel in an earlier podcast, or...
No, we're going to talk about that a little bit when we review the movie, because I watched it recently for the first time, and I think we need to discuss our feelings on that in order to properly discuss our feelings on this movie.
The issue was always that a lot of people didn't like that, and people hated Zack Snyder when they really should be mad at David Goyer. But
yeah, dude, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But
I got words.
People have been like just that this movie would fail, since it was announced, and all because they didn't like Man of Steel. And that's always been the biggest issue I have. You can't really hope a movie would fail and then turn around and start saying, oh, well, I want... It's just kind of ignorant. And I really think that it's gotten out of hand. That's my issue.
Well,
I don't think that they're... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's a lot of like what Vince was saying is he's basically like, look, like you're a critic after you've seen the movie, and there's a lot of people that
did this write up, by the way.
It was Vince Mancini from Film Drunk.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
So he's got the blog / he writes a lot of stuff that gets way more website traffic than any of us
probably combined.
And he's a smart dude, but
sounds like it.
I mean, he's not even trashing the movie. I mean, he's saying he didn't like it. He did write, I think, a negative review about it. But at the same time, he's also just saying, like, look, like, ticket sales don't matter. Like, which is true.
They
don't indicate a movie being good.
No, but when you have so many people, trashing the movie early on, saying that they hope it sucks, saying that they hope it fails, and then the numbers come in, I'm not a person that points the box office and says, well, sorry, this did really good. I don't give two shits if it made $2 or $2 billion. I don't care. As long as the movie's good, as long as it's entertaining, that's really what it comes down to for me. And I know a lot of people, but I do know a lot of people that pay attention more to box office receipts. So they can say, it flopped, whether it, so they can say that it was a success. I don't know who this if you wouldn't mind sending me this link, I wouldn't mind reading this whole write up from this Vince guy. He sounds pretty smart, but though this has been turned into a Marvel versus DC, when in reality what people don't realize is it's really just Warner Brothers versus Disney. And the fact is, it's been in a pissing contest since like the 30s, and so this is just one more, property asset that, both companies kind of have. I don't think that if you're a comic book fan, then I think that you want every comic book property to succeed. I think that you really want a Batman vs Superman to succeed, whether you like it or not. I think that you would hope that it continues.
Well,
regardless how you feel on the direction of the movie, because eventually we will get to the point where maybe the general audience will like it. And that sounds a little crazy, and maybe I'm just very tired from being at an airport all day, but
it's all that being in your mom's basement rubbing off on you.
Oh yeah. No, I just found my Chewbacca.
Got a psychological effect.
Yeah, I've got my Chewbacca.
But it's very much along the same lines though as so we complain about bad horror movies, right, Jesse? I mean,
all the time, every day.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
But we also go and pay to see them when they come out.
Yeah.
We do. We went to see Ouija. Chad, you're going to see Ouija 2 this year.
Bullshit. I'm going to have AIDS that day.
Not allowed to have AIDS more than once a year.
Oh. I had AIDS during Monster Mania. Oh! Very long time ago.
Very long time ago.
But it's the same thing, right? Like, I mean, we go to see these movies because, again, regardless, like, I just want to see it and make up my mind for myself. And that's the thing. Like, it's not a critics don't matter, but from my personal standpoint, I read reviews after I've seen the movie. After I've seen the movie, I want to hear what people say about it. I want to hear if there's some angle that somebody has that I didn't think about maybe. I don't say I'm not going to see that movie because somebody gave it a bad review.
Yeah, but there are people like that, though. There are people out there like that, and I think that's the argument, is because these characters have these, 70, 80-year, whatever it is, history that, the fans really want this to succeed. And if you've got a critic trashing it, the general audience who may have only seen, like, Marvel movies or, whatever it may be, and they've never really given a DC comic movie a chance, they're gonna, some of them are gonna look at these reviews and just say, well, I don't want to see this. It sounds like shit.
Well, but just like everybody has a right to have their own opinion about it. I mean, everybody has a right to put their opinion out there as well. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like most of the interactions that I've seen online regarding the movie have been just stupid. Like, I don't even want to read the threads going back and forth because it's literally just people pissing and moaning and just arguing, and most of the time it just comes down to, well, you're just fucking dumb.
And that's something I can't stand either. Yeah.
And that's and I have, there's people that I consider myself to be good friends with that have been in this position about this argument about this movie where they're just saying, if you like this, or if you don't like this movie, but you like this movie, then you suck and you should die.
No, and honestly, I think that fuck, this is just getting me angry. The thing with comic book fans is they want to be territorial. They're not very shy about what they love, and damn it, this is see. And I was hoping this wouldn't really make me angry or pissed off.
It's okay to have emotions, Chad.
All the feels.
It's okay to feel things.
Yeah, but the thing with this is, I think that it's turned from we can enjoy this to, well, you can only like one side. Like, no, this is not. This is not what as comic book fans we should be doing. This is not. No, you can like both.
I don't even think it's just comic book fans. I mean, it's for me, it's like as somebody who likes movies or art.
Yeah, but like I said, I think that the comic book fans are taking it a little bit more personally because there's so much on the line with these characters, not reputations, but the characters' legacy. And I think that it's gotten out of hand on both sides. I think that the fans that have been hoping that it would fail, I think that they've taken it too far. But I also think sometimes the fans that are like going around saying, "Oh well, Marvel paid them off," and damn it, these people did this, and they're trying to sabotage. I think that that's kind of taking it too far too. And I'll save my feelings for the movie, when we discuss it. But this has just been a giant mess.
Yeah, and this is our can't we all just get along moment. This is our Rodney King moment of just saying, like if you don't like something, fine. Like if somebody says that they don't like it, that's fine. If you want to have a discussion with somebody about that, that is fine. But as soon as you start like typing in caps and putting exclamation points and just being a fucking dick, like you just look stupid.
You really do.
Sorry, like you look like a fucking moron when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I realize, we goof around with some of that stuff sometimes, but I don't think any of us ever actually mean that or have gotten into that argument. At least I hope not.
Nope.
But it's just, and I'll save it. Well, I don't even know. Like, I think the tweet that I put out there the other day was that like most of the interactions that I've seen regarding opinions on this movie are as stupid as there's a particular line that's in the movie. And I was like, it's as stupid as this. And again, that's not me saying anything about my opinion about the movie itself, but the whole Martha thing is pretty, like that is just, the line is just awful. I don't know. I can't spin that any other way, but it's like,
Fair.
I think that the people who are arguing about it just look dumb. And when I see people arguing like that about the movie, like I just, I respect them a bit less. But, I obviously know people have emotions and they get emotional about this stuff, but just like I don't want more Devin Faracis. Like I don't. He's just another fucking guy who reviews movies who's really just a grumpy old asshole. He is the kind of critic that like most of these people are accusing all the other critics of being. And there's a lot of critics that I follow and that I trust and that I generally like to hear their opinions on stuff that have said this movie is not good. But that doesn't mean that they're dumb or that that they're biased or that they're saying it because of that. Like they legitimately wanted to enjoy it, but they had specific things about it that bothered them. That's fine. But they also said some nice things about it. So I guess a lot of it also comes down to people are just looking at the headline and then that's it. They're not actually even reading some of these actual reactions to the thing, where it may not be all negative. And like I said, we'll get into that because like I got some stuff to say and it's not all gonna be positive. It's not all gonna be negative. I mean, shit, we've reviewed some pretty bad movies on here and said some slightly positive things about them, even if they were terrible.
Gotta look for that silver lining.
What was that one movie we saw at the beginning of the year? Because I've already forgotten it, but it was so terrible.
The Forest.
Oh, there we go. We didn't have
that was a bad movie.
I think we said that the score was okay. At least I did.
Oh, okay.
Because I think Bear McCreary did the score for it.
I loved him on Family Matters. Darius McCrary, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Hootie.
All I want to be with you.
Missed all the R.I.P.s, Chad. You also
Darius Rucker.
You also missed my very horrible insinuation about the way that Patty Duke died and her last name being Duke.
Oh no, I don't get it, but I don't really care.
Well, let's just say that sepsis is a thing, and don't Google it because then you won't sleep.
What did you just say?
Sepsis.
Oh, I know what that is. Fuck you.
That's what she died from.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. With that being said, I think it's probably a good time to take a break for a couple minutes and then come back and let's actually talk about the movie now that we got the ranting a little bit out of the way. What do you think?
Ruptured intestine, though.
Talk about. We'll go from ruptured intestines to
ruptured penis.
Batman versus Superman. All right. So stick around. If you're listening live, we're gonna take a couple minutes to. Sorry, not sorry. We're going to take a couple minutes here, and if you're listening in the feed, then you probably won't have to wait for as long. But stick around, and we will be back to review Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Muscles.
Dong of Muscles.
Dong of Muscles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michael Cera, though.
The Dong of Justice.
The Dong of Dongs.
Oh, my God. All right. We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go nowhere.
The
You're
fuck is MTG?
Horror and Genre Podcast.
Fuck with that. Ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
We'll get another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Jeff here, and I want to tell you a way that you can help support our podcast. Because you see, we do this for free for you guys every week, and you know, we obviously have a lot of fun doing it, so that's good. But it's also costly and costs us money. So what you can do to help us out, because I know you all shop on Amazon already, is just head over to deadairpodcast.net when you're going to do your Amazon shopping and click the Amazon link that is on our front page. And that will take you to Amazon, and you can go and purchase away and do whatever you normally do on Amazon. Buy those butt plugs, buy those dildos, buy those I don't even want to know what else you guys buy on Amazon, but if you go there and you do your shopping through there, we will get a small percentage of it, and it'll help us to keep this show running. And we will have no idea who's buying anything, or what they bought. I can see what they bought, but I don't know that it was you. So you don't have to worry when you're buying the weird cock ring, Jesse. I won't know that was you.
It was me.
So anyway, head over to deadairpodcast.net, use the Amazon link, and remember to do that anytime you got to shop through Amazon. So thanks, really appreciate it, and I guess it's time to get back to the show.
Oh, motherfucking...
Right here. Told me what Wayne Manor was built on. They were hunters. I'm older now than my father ever was. It's my legacy. Superman was never real. Just the dream of a farmer from Kansas.
That dream is all some people have.
He brought the war to us. You know you can't win this. It's suicide. This is about the future of the world.
Jeremy Irons, though.
You're
prepared.
Santa's in voice. No natural inclination to share.
You're not brave. Men are brave. The world only makes sense if you force it to.
Experience it in IMAX. Rated PG-13.
And that was the trailer for Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Jesse.
That's right.
On a farts.
Everybody's so serious.
Why so serious? So yeah, that was trailer Batman vs. Superman. You all know that. That's what we're here to talk about. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So obviously, movie just came out last Friday and did a shitload of money at the box office. I think worldwide it was like what 400 and like almost $500 million worldwide. I think, which is I believe a new record, right, for like an opening weekend globally.
Sure.
$500 million, which a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's like this fucking crazy. But like I said earlier, like I think this movie has to break $1 billion to even be profitable. So we'll see if that happens. Hopefully it will, because you know movies are good and people should go see them, because otherwise we're all going to end up watching crap at home and not going to the movie theater anymore.
Looking at you, Jason Blum.
Except to see
all the Jason Blum hits.
Surprisingly, those are the ones that are actually making money. Like the big ones that you think of, like the Transformer movies and stuff, like they're not actually making all that much money off of those movies.
We still keep getting them.
And yet Jason Blum is just rolling around in $100 bills, like rubbing them on his balls and on his face and just being like, you know what? I got money.
Here, come here, Mr. Duplass.
I'm just so jealous of him is really all it is. But anyway, it made a bunch of money. It's out. As we talked about, there's a lot of controversy here. So again, I'm gonna warn you guys, if you haven't seen the movie, we're probably gonna talk about some stuff that happens in the movie. So if you don't want to hear anything that's a spoiler, you probably want to tune out pretty soon. I'm not going to do a whole spoiler section because I think that overall, I mean, just by the box office numbers, I'm assuming most people saw this movie that want to see it, right?
Probably.
So, and plus, we're also a little bit strapped for time. We want to try to be done here by midnight, so we're not really going to separate a whole nother thing. So just keep that in mind. And with that being said, we've obviously had the discussion about critics and everything else. So this is just going to be really more of a talk of what we thought about it, what we were expecting going in, what we wanted, and what we feel that we got out of it. And maybe, you know, some form of what you heard about the movie beforehand might factor into that. I think for me it definitely did. But let's start with Chad, because I know Chad, you picked this movie. This was the movie that you definitely wanted to see. Again, it's not like I was like begrudgingly going to see it, because I probably would have seen it anyway. I just probably wouldn't have gone as soon to go and see it. But I know you were really looking forward to this movie, so I would like to hear, you know, what what you were expecting, and if you want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on Man of Steel too, you can, because I'm definitely going to bring that up when I discuss my opinion of the movie, because quite frankly, I think Man of Steel for me influenced the way that I feel about this movie, for better or for worse. But I want to hear, what did you think? What did you want? Did you get it? How'd you feel? And everything along those lines.
Okay.
So, have at it.
All I really wanted was just an entertaining movie. I just wanted I kind of wanted just something enjoyable. And I wanted comic book aspects thrown in, and the whole story is essentially a couple comic book amalgams thrown in and kind of given to us in certain ways. So in that aspect, yeah, I got it. Got what I wanted. I am a huge Batman and Wonder Woman fan, so those were probably the two biggest aspects that I was looking forward to the most, mainly because I'm not a Superman fan. I wouldn't say I'm like a hater or anything, but I'm not really the biggest Superman fan. What Man of Steel was? I mean, Man of Steel was okay. I didn't really think that it was anything spectacular. I mean, even it was a much different telling of Superman's origin, of his backstory, and his formative years, and the time he spent in Smallville. So I wasn't really too offended by anything that was really in there, other than Amy Adams, which is weird because normally I really like her. She just didn't really work in that role for me. The other thing is, I didn't see, I guess, what other people were so upset about, and I don't know, again, if that's because I'm not a big Superman fan, but I didn't see the anger towards Superman destroying a whole city, because the Avengers didn't do that in their movies, so it's only right when one movie can do it. But I didn't really have any hate for Man of Steel. I mean, I think that I liked just as much as that I... Hold on. I think I was split down the middle, because for everything that I liked, I think that there was something I didn't like in it as well. So I'm still kind of on the fence of Man of Steel. I like the way they designed Krypton, and I like the story about how Krypton was exploding. I thought that the visuals, and I think that I think that everything that was going on there was great.
Yeah, that was I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I just kind of want a whole movie set on Krypton.
I would totally watch that. Yeah.
That Michael Shannon, though.
Michael Shannon is Zod, though.
Or Russell Crowe.
It wasn't Fat Russell Crowe, though.
Yeah, Jal-El.
What'd you say?
Jaleel White.
Oh, R.I.P. Urkelstein. Kick the Urkel starring Urkel. Dude, that would be so hot if like Henry Cavill just made a movie called Kick the Urkel, where he just throws Urkel around and just starts beating him up. And I will say
Superman.
This. Hobo Superman?
That's pretty much what it was at the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much.
I liked Hobo Superman, though.
Yeah, no, he wasn't bad. I will say, I for what he had to work with in Man of Steel, I think Henry Cavill did play Superman well. It's just, I think that there was a lot of un-Superman-like things in that movie, but then again, like I said, I'm not really that deeply offended by it. If it was like a Batman movie and he was like skipping around, in a if he was just like skipping around being all, cheery and all, maybe I would be offended, so I can see people's reasoning for hating Man of Steel, but I thought Henry Cavill was good. I thought, what's his name, Michael Shannon?
Yeah.
As Zod. I thought he was a really good villain. I thought he was great.
He's probably the best part of that movie, but
I would say so. Yeah, I think so. I thought,
in my opinion. But I love Michael Shannon to begin with, so.
Well, sure. I think Kevin Costner was. I think
he was just there to get money.
He was just there to get a paycheck, and I think that was. a lot of people have an issue with his scene where he tells Superman to just let kids die or something.
You mean when he walks into the tornado?
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense.
No, he was just like, he looks at him and he's like, Superman wanted to go save him, and he's just like, nah, bruh, I got this. And he just walks into the tornado.
I got you, boo.
Hey, it's okay if you kill those kids.
Hey, man, those kids are just going to grow up to be Trump supporters, so you may as well just get it over with now. I mean, Kevin Costner, he's a good actor. I think he has his moments, though, when he just, like, hams it up and, like, just... I think that he really just...
I don't think he was the problem. I think the problem was the part that was written for him. I think most of the problems with that movie come down to the script, which I have to mention because, and we're going to talk about this because, unfortunately, this man also has a presence in Batman vs. Superman. David Goyer, for fucking fuck's sake, man, can somebody please stop him?
I don't like David Goyer, and I don't like when Zack Snyder runs his mouth sometimes, but when David Goyer runs his mouth, it's just like...
Well, at least Zack Snyder makes things that look cool. Like
he does. He has a really good vision. But I think people are taking their anger out on him, and they're kind of letting David Goyer, get by.
I think most people don't even realize David Goyer is a person. Like, I think that a lot of these people...
He's a robot.
Like, I seriously don't think that they even think about script.
No.
And the fact that the story and script stuff is a lot of the problems that they have with these movies. And ultimately, if you have a shitty script, you can have the world's greatest director, and it still might be a shitty movie, right?
Well, now here's my thing, because I honestly don't know how the movie making process goes. How much say does a director have on the script? Like, is it 100% his?
Change it, but they don't do things on the fly, right? So there's because you have a lot of money that's involved. So
right. Especially with like Warner Brothers.
Right, and then there's also this thing with the unions, and they can't change it too much from that because then the person won't be able to get a writing credit.
No.
But when you have a single name on the script,
that
means that person did most of the writing.
Okay, so then it's David Goyer. People should be going after David Goyer.
Pretty much. He just gets off scot-free all the time, man. He's responsible for all the bad stuff.
He did. No, wait a minute, because he wasn't.
He's done some okay stuff.
He
wrote Dark City.
He did Blade 2?
No, he did Blade 2 or 1?
Or maybe it was Blade.
Hold on.
No, he was involved, I think, with all three of them.
Okay.
But
he did The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, or no, he did all three.
He worked on them. He didn't get like sole credit on those, but he did write like Dark City for Alex Proyas, which is probably like his best movie. And
Crow City of Angels. He did. Okay, so he did
Blade.
Blade 2 and 3.
R.I.P.
He did Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Now that's a good movie.
No, it's not.
Was that better than? It could.
It's bad, Chad. Chad, you were the one who got in an argument with me because you said that I spoiled it because I said Christopher Lambert shows up in it.
Oh, is that the one?
Anthony Stewart Head, who plays Giles in Buffy.
Ooh, that's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Damn good actor. He was in Prayer for the Dying, I think.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah, David Goyer has
Yeah.
been responsible for a lot of things that are not good.
Yeah, so he should be the one that should kind of be.
But but this movie made $1 gajillion. So it doesn't matter how bad you think.
Well, dude, David Goyer's fine. He's gonna be fine. Whatever. He's gonna continue to work in Hollywood.
Now wait a minute. I tend to did like a writing, or he did an uncredited rewrite on Freddy vs. Jason.
Probably.
Sure.
I tend to remember someone saying
maybe. I don't know.
Oh no, he
how many
contributed
people...
a script. He contributed a script. He did an uncredited rewrite. Oh, okay.
Well,
so
do you know how many people did a version of that movie, though?
I did a version of that when I was like in middle school.
That's what I'm saying. Like everybody and their mother who's working in Hollywood doing screenwriting at some point in time had some sort of script that they pitched or got written on spec. It's a miracle that movie ever got made because of all the money that they paid out to people to write scripts. So for all the people who complain about that particular movie, it's a miracle that that movie came out as good as it is. Even if you don't like it, it's still a decent movie. I really like it, but
I love that movie. I am so glad that that movie came out when it did, because I got to see it in the theater. So no, I only saw it once. I take it back. Love that movie. So apparently he did a script rewrite shorter, and like combine a bunch of shit.
Chad, you keep going on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Man of Steel. So Man of Steel, I don't think it's. I don't even think it's the worst superhero movie. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Shut the fuck up.
I'm serious. You keep pressing mute or something.
I am not pressing a damn thing.
I'm just saying the little microphone thing with the crossy thing keeps coming up on the screen.
The little microphone thing with the crossy thing? Is that what you just said?
That's like an actual technical term.
Okay. Well,
Podcasting Handbook 101.
That's my fault. Holla. But okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So for me, what?
The Jews.
The Jews.
Jesse, you took it too far. Although I've been watching too much American Crime Story, so I thought you said the Juice.
Oh, that's such a good show.
Yeah. So let's
Juice.
continue with your thoughts.
You can do this, Juice. Come on. Bob, I can't do it anymore. I can't. I gotta see my family. Oh shit, that was offensive. But no, I got what I wanted out of Dawn of Justice, and even more. I was very, very pleased with it. I was very excited when I was leaving the theater, especially since I've read all the all the comics that they were, using as source material. I thought it was very faithful. So, I am very, very happy with what I saw.
All right, Jesse.
Yeah.
Messy Jesse.
Yeah, what's up?
My favorite garbage pail kid.
What are we talking about?
So
his garbage can.
We're talking about Batman versus Superman, and I want to know what you thought about it. But I don't know, if you want to briefly discuss, because honestly, this movie's kind of, in a lot of ways, a sequel to Man of Steel.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if I've ever heard your opinion on that particular movie.
Sure.
So
I have complicated feelings on Man of Steel.
Especially since you got that Superman all over your stuff.
Yeah, so I am a big fan of Superman, but I'm a fan of Superman I think he's a great character, but I think more that I like the idea of Superman more than anything, as like a complicated philosophical question, and I think that it kind of comes up actually in Dawn of Justice, which, feelings aside on the film, they actually kind of get into sort of the idea of what does Superman mean in terms of humans, as we perceive him as a god, but what if he's just sort of, he doesn't see himself as that, and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, so Man of Steel, coming from someone like Zack Snyder, who I actually kind of like his work, except for Sucker Punch, I like most of his work.
I want to see that.
Big fan of Watchmen, really big fan of Watchmen, which I think is one of my favorite graphic novels and one of my favorite graphic novel adaptations, and that's another one that people like to fight about on the internet a lot.
Watchmen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie or the book?
The movie.
The movie.
Oh, okay. I'll save my feelings. Go ahead.
So I was excited when Man of Steel was announced and he was going to do it and blah, blah, blah. And then I saw it and I sort of had a very complicated feeling about it because I thought they did some things really, really well, and then other parts of it were lacking in heart and volume and feeling, when other parts felt very much controlled, like the Krypton stuff, like when he was just hobo Superman fighting, wrapping semi-trailers around.
I was going to say, can we be real for a second though? In what world does that redneck actually think that he has a chance in a fight with? Because even without his powers, right? He's like 10 times the size of that little dude at the bar who wants to fight him. And then that guy's reaction when he walks out and sees that his fucking semi-trailer is wrapped around the fucking thing. He's not even like amazed. He's just like, damn.
Yeah, damn.
Like, come on, man. Anyway.
But
I didn't
and Amy Adams is sort of this horrible like plot device, which I don't think they fixed at all with the new movie. But it's just sort of she just shows up to say something and then move along.
Rescued.
Yeah, get rescued, or she's falling out of something, and Superman and somehow knows she's there. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So the movie, The Man of Steel, walked away with very complicated feelings. It's a movie I've rewatched, and I still don't feel any different about it. I think the Krypton stuff's really cool though. So going into Man of Steel, I was kind of excited because I was like, well, he could fix a few things, and maybe they will get around to
the Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he would have learned, maybe Snyder or the writers or whomever would have learned from Man of Steel, and everything leading up to it, I was pretty, I wasn't like pumped or excited, but I was like, I was looking forward to it. And then when I started seeing more and more footage from it, I was like, eh. And then I actually saw it, and I would say that I had more issues with this movie, but I really liked, I thought the last 40 minutes or so was really, really good. And I loved Wonder Woman as a character, and what they did with her character. And definitely the stuff they're setting up, I think, is way more interesting than the movie itself. But I think the writing in this movie was it was like a dick waving contest between three guys who wanted to prove that their father was cooler than the other guy's father, and it came off as super how would you call it? Very there's a huge patriarchal influence in this film that was kind of unnerving a little bit. It felt so. It's like the same thing I feel when I see the Civil War trailer for Avengers. It's like, why are all these guys fighting over the affection of one another? It seems like everybody's they don't know how to deal with the fact that they have homoerotic feelings for one another, and they have to fight it out.
Jesse, it's great bromances of the 21st century.
Yeah.
It feels sort of disingenuous, or it feels sort of defense mechanism-ish or something. Something's going on that this just doesn't feel right. And it feels very bro-y.
Are you basically saying that all of this is just the equivalent, the filmic equivalent of the "You Mad Bro" T-shirt?
Pretty much.
That'd be so hot.
Pretty much.
All right, fair enough. Any other thoughts, or? No?
Word.
Just thinking. Yeah. No?
It's kind of hard for me to come back from the Batman stuff because I am one of those people that really liked Chris Nolan's trilogy quite a bit, and that was for me a really great, wonderful Batman homage, or Batman movies. I if they never made any more Batman movies ever again, or had that character, I would be fine because I had those movies. But I know they're gonna have to.
Here's my question.
Sure.
Here's my question. Do you see any improvements from the Nolan Batman to what? Or okay, do you see? Is there anything that you thought that they improved upon coming out of the Nolan Batmans?
I mean, other than this one was this Batman was a little more brutal.
Okay, fair enough.
He was an older man. He seems a bit
grumpy,
damaged by his experiences. And it's a different type of Batman. But I didn't really have a problem with this Batman necessarily. As a character, I thought he was interesting, but I just like those Nolan movies so much for just as a whole package, more than anything. But I definitely like I said, like the last 40 minutes of this movie, especially when Batman actually becomes like Batman and does Batman things, that was pretty cool, and I like that. But that was at the back end of the movie, and you didn't really get enough of it. So, but yeah,
Word.
yeah.
All right. Well, so I had avoided watching Man of Steel until recently, and then I was like, I should probably watch it because we're gonna watch this movie. So I was like, I should probably give it a chance because I'd heard a lot of terrible things about Man of Steel, like really bad things, and a lot of people complaining. I think the biggest things that I heard was okay because like he snaps Homeboy's neck at the end of the movie. And they're like, Superman wouldn't.
I defend that. I will defend that. By the way.
Well, hold on, because
no, I know. I'm just saying, I defend that.
Well, there's that, and then as you were saying, Chad, the whole thing with they're like, oh, and then Superman gets in the fight, and then it's destroying the entire city, and blah blah. Superman wouldn't do that, and all this other stuff that they're going on. And so I watched the movie, and I'm like, all right, this movie's okay. It's not terrible. It's not really good either. Like I had a lot of problems with. So like the Krypton stuff was all right, and then I feel like when they got to the point where they started having hobo Superman and stuff, it was kind of okay, but then the way that they were handling the flashbacks was kind of poorly edited together.
Yeah.
Almost in like a ramshackle, like it didn't really make any sense from a timeline perspective.
Yep.
But it was okay. And, there was nothing horribly offensive. The movie was, entertaining enough. Lois Lane was useless in the movie.
Totally useless. But I really like that scene where Superman's in the closet as a kid. Maybe I just totally I just made a Freudian connection there. Okay, but but when Superman as a kid,
tell us something, Jesse.
Yeah, when he's in the closet, right, and his mother has to come to school, Diane Lane has
closet.
To come to
Yeah.
and that's a really to me that was a really effective scene. And that's one of those scenes that gets me emotional. And then
the bully stuff and
yeah, all that stuff's really good. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Costner's walking into a tornado, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Well, it was, but the problem is they tried to cram way too much stuff into one movie, and the way that they broke up that timeline is problematic because they didn't tell it in a linear fashion where they could have just showed kind of the progression. They chose to do the flashbacks, and the way that they did it though was kind of broken up to the point where in some ways, when they get to the big bus accident and stuff, it's just poorly edited together to the point where you almost don't know what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
You see what the result is, but when it's happening, you're not really necessarily able to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a not a terrible, horrible off the rail. I've seen a lot of things that are a lot worse. So the movie wasn't as bad as I thought. And then I was just thinking about it afterwards, and I'm like, you know what? All these people that complain about the city getting destroyed and the neck snapping, I don't understand what their fucking problem is, because I'm like, if a fucking dude comes down, he's like, I got this fucking thing that's gonna change your atmosphere here and kill all of you, every single one of you fucking humans, and you're gonna get mad because maybe a few hundred people got killed in some buildings, maybe even a few thousand people got killed in some buildings. Superman fucking saved the planet. Who fucking cares? I get where they go with it in the next movie, and I think that in Batman vs Superman, the stuff that they deal with in there is reasonable. Obviously, there was a big 9/11
homage.
Homage. Or I mean,
comparison.
I don't think thematically we're not going to get away from that for the next fucking 50 years, but I just don't understand the people who take issue to say that is what makes Man of Steel horrible, because it is completely justifiable to, and it wasn't like Superman was knocking over the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
He was just fighting Michael Shannon, and Michael Shannon was just destroying or fighting whatever he was fighting, and the other forces were the ones that were actually destroying everything. Superman was just trying to save people. And he also kind of didn't want to break Homeboy's neck at the end of the movie, but he's just like, look, if I don't do this, he's going to kill these people, so I'm going to kill him.
Innocent people at that.
Yeah, I have no fucking problem with that, right? So that whole thing is stupid. But Man of Steel overall, I was kind of like, it's all right. Like I would probably watch it again at some point. I'm interested to go back and revisit it again at a later date. But going into Batman versus Superman, like I had heard, all of the people arguing back and forth, which was just getting on my nerves to begin with, because I'm like, people arguing on the internet is just ridiculous to begin with, right? It just sounds stupid, and it makes most people who are doing it look like a bunch of idiots. So there's that. Like, discussion is fine. Debating is fine. Trolling is even fine. But, like, the people who are just straight up being like, your family needs to die because you don't like this movie, like, and they're serious. Like, their whole heart is in that. And I'm like, man, you really need to get something better to do with your time.
You go, Glen Coco.
But, like, I'd heard that stuff. I'd heard the arguments. I kind of was like, Man of Steel was kind of like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. And I went in and saw the movie, and I liked it, actually, quite a bit. Probably more than... I probably liked it more than Jesse did. It was definitely way better than Man of Steel for me.
Wait, what was better than Man of Steel? Sorry.
Batman vs. Superman. In my opinion. I liked it a lot better. This is my opinion, Jesse. You will let me speak.
No, I will let you speak. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to know. I'm trying to wonder if I agree with you, because that's actually.
If you have to think about it, then it's probably a no.
I have to say it's a lot better just because I think the characters are a lot better. Like, I feel like overall the movie's edited together better for the most part.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
But wait a minute. You can. It's hard to compare both of them, only because, and I'm really trying to be biased in this situation, but it's hard to say. It's hard to compare only because that there was a lot more going on in this one than Man of Steel, and that they were essentially trying to start up something completely different than what they were doing with Man of Steel.
Well, I will definitely get there, but I guess my start-off point is that logically this movie was originally, I believe, supposed to be like a Man of Steel sequel, where they wanted to... So I have a few opinions on this that we'll get to, but overall, I really like the movie. I think it has problems. I think it has a lot of problems. But I don't think that those problems took away from my ability to sit down and watch this movie and like it and enjoy it. Now, I'm not a comic book guy also. I have to put this out there because somebody out there is going to fucking be like, well, you don't understand because you didn't read the comics and this and that. And I don't fucking care. Like, if I can't watch this movie without having read the comic books, then I don't want to fucking watch the movie. Right? Like, I don't want to have prerequisites to be able to sit down and watch a movie. Like,
to that argument, I don't think you have to read the comics. I don't think it hurts, though.
No, I'm not saying it hurts, but there are people that'll be like, well, you just don't understand it because you didn't read the comics. And I'm like,
yeah,
well,
no, that's bullshit.
That's to me that is a flawed
it's an insult.
thesis. That's just dumb because it's like you shouldn't have to do that. Just like when you're making a movie based off a book, the movie should be able to be good on its own. It shouldn't you shouldn't have to have read the book in order. The same thing, Game of Thrones, right? Like, you shouldn't have had to fucking read all 30,000 pages of those novels in order to enjoy the TV show.
Oh, good lord.
And if you absolutely have to, then there's a problem. So anyway, I'm not really into that, but at the same time, like, I think I've made it apparent too, like, I've seen like 4 Marvel movies, and they're not even the ones that most people lose their shit over. So I'm not a comic book guy, but I do like the Chris Nolan Batman movies a lot. And I was curious about this because I've been on board with Ben Affleck getting cast as Batman for a while. Like, I was like, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think Ben Affleck's a totally talented dude. Mm-hmm. Right? I like a lot of the stuff Zack Snyder does. I think that, like, Dawn of the Dead is fucking super awesome. I love that movie that he did. I like a lot of the other stuff that I've seen from him, and even I don't really care for 300 that much, but I will admit, from like a directorial standpoint and from a visionary standpoint, like the dude knows what he's doing. So he has a lot of talent in those arenas. The problem usually comes down to, again, script and story. And if I'm not on board with the story or the script, then I'm not going to like it. But I feel like in this movie, there definitely was, I think, a better story, because I feel like Man of Steel was like a lot of stuff just getting rehashed in a different way. And as much as there was some okay stuff with that movie, there, you know, it had a lot of problems. I feel like Batman vs. Superman has problems as well, but I almost think that the problems in there is that it's trying to do too much, whereas I feel like Man of Steel wasn't doing enough. If that makes sense. Like, Man of Steel was a 2.5 hour long movie that was so narrowly focused, whereas Batman vs. Superman has such a wide net that it's trying to cast, and it's only 2.5 hours. Like, they didn't need to do all this in one movie, but I understand why they did it, because I feel like really what it was, at the end of the day, Warner Brothers is like, yo, we got to have the Justice League. Like, we need that shit, bruh. And they were like, well, what? And they're like, well, we were going to make a Man of Steel sequel and make a Batman movie. And they're like, yo, what about if we just put them together right now? Oh, and by the way, like, what about if we put Wonder Woman in it? Oh, and by the way, like, what about if we kill Superman? Let's do that whole thing right now, too. Let's just put it all together. And I'm like, there is way too much going on there, because I know that these are all actual storylines and all that stuff, because I've heard people talk about them and whatnot. But when you go into the movie and from frame one, you're like, I know that that's Wonder Woman. Like, that's kind of like, I don't want to say a cop-out, but it's a problem, right? Like, I like her character a lot, and I like, I don't know if you pronounce it Gal Gadot, or if it's Godot, like or however you say it, but like, I really like her.
For Gal Gadot.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been like a huge fan of her since I saw her in the Fast and Furious movies, because I really like those movies, and I think she's great in those movies as well. And, you know, when I heard she was going to be Wonder Woman, I was like, yo, I'm all for that, because she's, number one, I mean, she's nice to look at, but she's a good actress, and she's, you know, she's done action, and she's got her shit together. So I was like, all right, I'm fine with that. But you know, it's a problematic thing when they just, like, the whole character is based on the you having that knowledge that that's who she is from frame one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't, like, from the minute she shows up, there's no question that she's Wonder Woman, and there's like no real explanations given, which is okay. I get it. They're gonna get into it more. Really, what they wanted to do was they were like, well, we got to be able to set up the Wonder Woman movie that we're going to have come out. And it was super awkward when she's like revealing the other Justice League stuff. Like, that stuff didn't need to be smack in the middle of the fucking movie, where all of a sudden they're like, hey, let's go on this computer and watch a whole bunch of video files of like Jason Momoa in a fucking ship and Ezra Miller like running in a thing in a convenience store, and that cyborg sequence was way too long and like very like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but a lot of people, let's face it, everyone knows Flash, everyone knows Aquaman. Not a lot of people know about Cyborg, so you kind of had to set it up.
Well, I get it, but the big thing that I've heard some people say, the Slash Filmcast review when they were talking about this movie, they basically like, why didn't they put that sequence in like the end credits type stuff? Like, why didn't they stick that?
That would have made more sense, yeah.
Yeah, because they just like drop it in the middle of the movie, and like it just completely kind of breaks up the pacing.
Mm-hmm.
And my problems with this movie aren't that it's not good, or aren't that I have problems with the characters or their portrayals or anything like that. It's more just like they were trying to do too much. Doomsday looks like shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He just looks like another like, I used to be like super like, hey, Weta Digital is fucking awesome, but now I'm just like, all they keep doing is the fucking cave troll from the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies over and over again, just with different effects on it. Because if you literally like look at pictures of the fucking cave troll from the first Fellowship of the Ring, and you look at Doomsday, and then you look at like that one guy from the fucking Hobbit movies who's really terrible. I don't know his name, but he's the deformed, weird big guy.
Yeah, the weird orc guy that
Yeah.
they made up. That's not from the
And you
book.
look at all three of those together, and they all just look almost exactly the same. And so I'm just like, you know what? Like, Doomsday looks stupid. That whole thing was just like, that could have been its own movie, right? Like, Doomsday
Well, I mean,
versus everybody.
I mean, Doomsday was its own run for. I
Uh-huh.
mean, its own book.
Right.
I mean, I remember that. I mean, when they killed Superman, and then they didn't because they fucking it's comics.
And they take it and like squish it into like 20 minutes of the movie, and I don't feel like it was given a fair shake. And also, you know, you want to get into that. Well, okay, the logic behind Lex Luthor or whatever, Alexander Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, the logic behind Jesse Eisenberg like deciding to make Doomsday for what exactly?
Because his
Like,
daddy wanted to make his daddy proud.
but again, for what? Because he wants to destroy the world. For what? And I get that there's going to be arguments that, well, there was somebody else out there that was actually kind of influencing him to do this, but that's a cop-out because that's something that's not touched on. You shouldn't have to rely on something that's going to happen later to explain the entire fucking plot of this guy's diabolical plan. And on that level, like, I don't have any problem with Jesse Eisenberg through the movie for the most part. I think he was having fun in his role, although I feel like he was trying to be Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yes, exactly.
He was trying to be the Riddler.
Like he was like a combination of Heath Ledger's Joker and Jim Carrey's Riddler together.
If his name was the Riddler or he was the Mad Hatter, I don't think the complaint would be there.
No,
But the
I
fact
don't.
that he plays a character that is so hate-filled and so maniacal and so bent on killing Superman, I don't think it was the right fit.
No, well, and again, like, I like this movie. Like, I am not saying this is a bad movie. But these are all problems that I had with it. I feel like that the movie was paced a little bit weird. I feel like there was a lot of that build up there. I would have much rather seen a Batman movie on its own and then seen the Batman and Superman movie together, and then maybe even seen a sequel to that where they kind of expand it and then go ahead from there. But Warner Brothers was very much like, we have to catch up, right? Because Marvel's already got all this. And it's not just Warner Brothers. Every fucking movie studio out there right now wants to have a quote-unquote cinematic universe. They all want to have...
Can't blame them.
And I get it, because fucking money, right? Like, money. Like, I like money. You like money, right?
Yeah,
we all want some money. Like, we would take some more money. So
Juggalo
I get
cash.
I get it, right? But the thing is like, to take everything and just cram it together, it just felt like fucking ADD fest towards the end of the movie. And it's like, you know, you have the big, giant fucking supposed build-up to this fight between Batman and Superman. It lasts all of like 10 minutes. And the way that it ends, come on, guys. Like, the way that it ends, where he's just like, you gotta save Martha. And he's like, why did you say Martha?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I get it. I understand exactly why that affects Batman. I understand that. But I'll be fucking goddamned if that wasn't the worst screenwriting. And it's
Here's
fair.
my question.
You can defend it.
No. Shit, I was gonna defend something and now I can't remember. I can't defend that Martha bit.
It's bad, right?
It's corny. It's corny, but I don't think it's.
But they painted themselves in a corner, like they couldn't get out of it, and they had to do something. And
They had to have Amy Adams show up at the last second and go,
oh,
Martha, it's just Mother's Day.
Don't even get me into the whole like her like randomly picking up that spear, throwing it in the water, and 5 minutes later she's like, "Wait, I need to get that."
Wait, BRB, gotta get that.
BRB gonna kill people.
And right from that moment, I'm like, "Oh, Superman's fucked." Because I'm like, there's no way they're gonna kill Amy Adams. Like,
Was it like a Chekhov's spear or something?
like seriously, like again, Lois Lane exists in this movie just to get rescued, and apparently they blew fucking Jimmy Olsen's face off So there you go for that
Good.
too.
Good. Jimmy Olsen was kind of a pointless character to begin with.
But overall, like, you know, as much as I'm like joking on this and as much as I'm complaining about a lot of stuff in it, like, I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I feel like Ben Affleck, like, well, this is definitely not the best Batman movie we've ever had. I feel like Ben Affleck's Batman is like my favorite portrayal of it. For one, like, at least he's got the thing to do the voice, and it's like a robot voice, and it's not
somebody talking like this.
I hated Christian Bale's voice.
Yeah, and I can't argue with you on that. It's fucking laughable, although I still really like those movies. Like, but so I really like Ben Affleck doing that stuff. I feel like the one scene where he's fighting everybody, well, there's definitely one scene where he's beating the hell out of a bunch of people. I think it's when he's going to steal the kryptonite, which, by the way, like, how the fuck did Lex Luthor even know what kryptonite is? And then Batman takes it and he leaves the thing, so he's like, yo, I stole your shit, bruh. Like, there's a lot of stuff about that
that's the actual line.
There's like a lot of stuff about that that's goofy, but at the end of the day, like, the sequences are really good. I don't have any problem with Batman beating the shit out of people. Like, and people were like, oh, and then he's picking up all these guns and shooting people in the face, and I'm like, he really didn't though. Like,
no, he keeps no.
He did blow up the one dude because he had a flamethrower to the old lady's head, but what, you know, you reap what you sow, bro. Like, you're gonna fucking hold a flamethrower to Superman's mom's head, like, and you get blown up.
That's hot.
I don't care.
Plus, you know, plus this is an older Batman. You know, this is not the exactly the purest form of Batman that we've seen. You know, like it's he doesn't have all the same values that he might have used to might have tried to have. He's learned to make some calls that, you know, he knows that he's just gonna have to deal with. So, you know, I get that part of it, and that's why it's sort of super interesting to see that version of Batman. I just wish they could have explored it more.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really wish it was just its own movie,
right?
Like, separate, and then maybe bring the two together, right? Like, why couldn't we get that? I mean, they allude to, and again, I'm not up on my comic stuff, but they obviously allude to the was it Death in the Family storyline with
the Robin stuff
getting killed and Wayne Manor getting burned down.
No, the second Robin.
Is it the second Robin? Oh, yeah, because the first one becomes the Red Hood, right?
No, he became Nightwing. This one becomes the Red Hood.
Nightwing, right. This guy becomes Red Hood.
Yeah, because they had, you know, the suit with the Joker writing on it.
Joke's on you, asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like, I feel like they could have even done that beforehand, and then done this, and then done another thing. I mean, I feel like it's overambitious. And the thing is, I don't feel like it's overambitious because the filmmakers wanted it to be. I really feel like Zack Snyder probably had an idea of what he wanted to do and was probably forced by the studio to make the Justice League happen now because they need to have this thing that they can then spin off an infinite number of movies from. And I don't envy him for being in that position because that's a tough position to be in, right? Like, or like, yo, we need you to do this, and people are like, here's a whole bunch of money, and at the same time, you don't want to walk away from it because you're like, well, I like this thing, like, this means something to me, and it obviously does to him.
I mean,
right?
yeah, I mean, he's I would say successfully adapted many either graphic novel or previous installments of something.
He's a visual guy, man. Like, for
he's
sure.
a very visual guy, and I would say that he's been very true to the source material that he's tried to adapt. I mean, you know, besides, you know, the changing the ending of Watchmen and a few other things, but I mean, he has. You could tell he's a fan of the stuff he works with. You know, he's not just hired to do a comic book movie. Like, he actually cares about this stuff, and I never fault him for those, you know, for the problems that are inherent to these movies. I don't really like the Man of Steel and Dawn of Justice specifically. I don't blame him. I blame him for Sucker Punch because that was a passion project that went terribly wrong. I feel.
Yeah, at least he tried to do something though. Like, I mean,
no, for sure. Like, he paid his dues, and then he was, you know, given the money to do his own thing, and he put Nazi zombies in there, and that's great and everything, but it just wasn't that great of a movie.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I get it, but at the same time, like I said, like I don't envy the guy for being in that position, and I feel like he kind of got stuck in there. I feel like he was obviously dealing with stuff that David Goyer wrote that probably shouldn't have been there. David Goyer was not the only screenwriter on this movie, so there was probably somebody else. But I feel like I almost want to say that probably most of the bad stuff was David Goyer's fault. And there was probably other screenwriters who did drafts that didn't get credited, so there's that as well. But I feel like a lot of it was probably the studio, because the studio is in this position where they have this new guy who's the head of the studio. I don't remember his name right offhand, but he's really trying to set up like, this is what my studio is going to be. And if anybody's ever worked at a company where you get a new CEO or something like that, you know that they come out with their fucking dick swinging, because they've got to put their mark on the stuff, because this is their thing, and this is what they're going to be known for afterwards, and it's all about reputation and legacy at that point, right? And so this guy's got to come out and be like, look, I need something that can define whatever I'm doing here, because 5-10 years from now I'm not going to be doing this anymore, and I need people to remember me, because it's the same shit that is almost in a way like dealt with in these movies when they're talking about what people's legacies are going to be and what their people are going to remember them for later, right? But so they got to come out with their dick swinging and do that, and so they need to have something, and obviously this guy wants to have this Justice League and this DC cinematic universe, quote unquote, because otherwise why would you instantly have this movie, and the next year we're having Wonder Woman and the fucking Justice League movie immediately with Superman?
I think it got pushed back, though.
What's up?
I think it got pushed back, didn't it?
No, 2017, and then 2019 is Justice League 2.
Okay.
So they've got, and Aquaman's coming down the pipeline. So they got all this shit coming down, and I'm not saying that it's going to be bad. I feel like it's just, again, it's just rushed.
Overwhelming.
It's just they're doing too much to try to play catch up, because Marvel really built their stuff up very slowly and did something that nobody had ever done. And again, I'm not saying Marvel is better, because I don't really give a fuck. If the movie is good, it's good, right? Like, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love that movie a lot.
Great movie.
And that doesn't even really necessarily have a whole ton to do with the rest of the stuff that they've done. Like, I've seen some of their stuff. I just started watching Daredevil. That's pretty good. Like, I like that, but like, I'm not a quote unquote fanboy. I like movies, and I like to watch movies, and I don't mind if movies are long, but I can definitely tell. I've seen enough movies, and I know, unfortunately, enough about how these studio systems work that I can tell when stuff is kind of forced, and there's a good movie in there somewhere. And I feel like there's a better movie in this movie somewhere that Zack Snyder wasn't allowed to make.
I can agree with that for sure.
And again, and that doesn't mean that I'm saying this movie's bad or that it's garbage. And if you want to, fight with me and tweet at me and attack me over it, that's fine. You can do that all you want. But at the end of the day, like, I actually gave this movie like 4 stars out of 5. Believe it or not. I think I gave Man of Steel 2.5. And this one I surprisingly enjoyed, to the point where I left and I was like, and part of it might be because I heard so many bad things about it and saw so many people arguing and being stupid about it, that like I was like, really? Like, all of this for that? Like, this was enjoyable. I had fun with it. And a huge part of it, I think, is Ben Affleck's Batman. I think Henry Cavill is actually given more to do here.
Yep. He's more heroic.
Well, yeah, he's more heroic, but I also feel like he's more of a conflicted character in this as well. Like, because he's definitely, like, and there's a lot of people out there that are down on this movie just because they're like, it's so grim and blah blah, and I'm like, but that's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be like super happy. Like, you're like, this is a reflection kind of like the world that we live in. And even though I don't necessarily agree with Batman being like, well, if there's a 1% chance that this dude could do something, then we need to fucking kill him, because that doesn't feel right to me. But I could see Batman being grumpy asshole, right? I could see like the stuff with the senator. I mean, it is kind of funny that we live in a world where we get this big blockbuster movie where one of the gags that's in it happens to revolve around Holly Hunter getting a jar of piss
Yeah.
put on her fucking podium before a legless guy blows up the fucking Congress. Like,
It took me about a good minute to kind of get what was going on in that scene.
oh, well, again,
That's a scene where I was like, okay.
they poorly set it up. Again, this is a problem that this movie has, is like the pacing wise and the way that they do it, and they just kind of like introduce this thing and then it just happens.
Right.
Like, whereas like if it was actually like the Chris Nolan stuff from like The Dark Knight or whatever, like there would have probably been a little bit more build up, probably been a little bit more to it, and they would have focused on this instead of like kind of jumping around. And again, that's not me slamming the movie. I feel like it was problematic, and I really hope that now that they've gotten this out of the way, I'm hoping that they got this out of their fucking systems so that they can actually let these people make the movies that they want to make based around this, right?
Sure.
Because I feel like that's one thing, is that at least with Marvel, the people that are running Marvel Studios, Disney's kind of just hands off with it for the most part, but the fucking Kevin Feige or whatever, how do you say his name? That dude like obviously knows what he's doing, and he trusts the people that are making the movies enough to kind of let them do their thing. And I just hope that Warner Brothers learns from this to the point where, like, when the Wonder Woman movie comes out, like, let it be a Wonder Woman story. Like, please, for love of God, don't shove 8 people, because Marvel does this too sometimes, right? Like that Ant-Man movie, there's definitely a spot in there where they just shoved in the Avengers for no good reason other than to be like, yo, we need to have a scene with the Avengers.
Well, he was originally one of the original Avengers, so they kind of needed to at least do something with it.
I get it, but it's awkward in that movie. Like,
yeah,
really awkward.
That movie just came off very weird. I thought it was that movie, more than anything, was a 90s superhero movie in the year 2010. Something just didn't coagulate for me.
Right. And I mean, I get it, but I know that it's not just this franchise that's done it, but I just feel like that this particular movie just happens to have all of the, let's say, all of the
components.
Well, it's got all the earmarks of things that you don't want, except they're all in the same movie somehow. And I can see why some people might leave with a bad taste in their mouth, especially if you're like a huge fan of the Chris Nolan Batman movies and that's like what you go to for. Again, I'm not a comics guy. I lived with a dude who like lived and breathed some of the graphic novel stuff, so I know some stuff because he was really into the Batman stuff and Watchmen, and he's into a lot of DC stuff. And this dude used to own stock in Marvel back before they went bankrupt the first time. And I'm pretty sure he's like kicking himself because he sold it a long time ago. But you know, I know enough to say that I'm not just like completely stupid, but I don't claim to really know anything, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, as far as movies go, like, I don't know, I liked it. I didn't think it was even too long. It's one of the rare cases where I almost think like, I don't necessarily think that it should have been longer. I feel like it should have been more than one movie. And I feel like that would have helped it, but I'm super interested to see what they do with Ben Affleck's Batman going forward. Apparently he wrote a script, which I'm fine with because that dude can write too. Like,
definitely.
People want to fucking hate on Ben Affleck, but like, dude, let me just tell you, like there may be some bullshit like that he's been involved with over the last couple of decades, and yeah, he went out with J-Lo and all that kind of crap, but like, he's a super talented guy.
Yes.
And I don't know, like, I liked his Batman. I even liked it when he was like, yo, I'm like fucking tank robot Batman, and I'm gonna go fight super. Like, it made sense to me. I'm like, all right, this makes sense. Fucking Jeremy Irons was all right too.
Jeremy Irons
is probably the best Alfred we've got.
The voice of Scar from Lion King.
Yeah, I mean, I could get down with that. I was fine with I was fine with just about everybody. Again, I was even okay with Jesse Eisenberg. I feel like there was obviously some problems there, but at least he was having fun, right? Like
He was the guy in the other movie situation.
yeah.
Even though even though we all talk shit about it, you can really tell that he's really just enjoying it. Even when you talk shit about something. What? I'm just saying.
You're going in and out. That's all. Like you're
can you hear me?
on mute. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Well, no.
Okay.
All I was saying was, even though I don't like him in this movie, you still kind of got to give him a little respect for at least trying to have fun with it.
Yeah. No, he definitely tried to have fun with it, and I feel like, I mean, there was obviously issues with his character's motivation and all this other stuff, but I did like it when Batman like showed up at the jail cell at the end and like pretty much like was like, yo, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you.
I'm gonna fuck your couch.
And he just like scared the shit out of him and then like walked off. Like that was like that. Like I'm fine with that because I really feel like that fit with, from what my understanding is of Batman, and I was a little bit more disappointed that all we had was like a fake rubber Michael Shannon in this movie.
Yeah. Body cast
to become Doomsday. Like again, that whole thing with the spaceship and making Doomsday, like it's fucking ridiculous, and I don't believe that actually follows the storyline from the comics, right? Like it's kind of a different thing, or am I wrong?
In the comics, he is not Zod.
Okay.
But he does come to Earth on like a spaceship from Krypton.
So, but again, I mean, like you got a difference there, and it's like okay, and I guess they just wanted to hurry up to just get the killing of Superman over with.
Yeah, they want to get that subplot out of the way. If you want to watch, they did an animated movie of the Doomsday.
Don't see that. Don't see that. That's terrible.
I liked it.
Chad, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, we can tell when you're going off now. I think there might be something wrong with your headset.
You know what? It might be time to upgrade. No, but what I was saying is I hated that Lex Luthor was like a sex. He just seemed like he was very turned on by Superman, and he was so around. Like he did. If you go back and watch it, he was very like sexual with Superman.
Yeah, that's why I liked it.
I just don't get his motivations for anything other than like I'm like a rich fucking asshole
pretty
kid.
much it. Yeah.
Like, and I just do what I want. Like, like
if you go by like the Smallville, they went to school, but that's shoehorning.
But that's also like, I mean, this isn't even like supposed to be like Lex Luthor, right? Like this is supposed to be
this is supposed to be this is Lex Luthor.
So this is supposed to be like that's why they shaved his head, because they're like, now he's bald, haha.
Yeah, ha, get it.
Okay, because I heard a lot of people saying that they were supposed to be like, no, the actual Lex Luthor is supposed to be his dad.
No. Because they even referred to him, and I can't remember the scene, but they refer to him as a Lex Luger. I gotta stop saying Lex Luger. That's the wrestler.
Lex Luger.
Lex Luthor Jr. So I mean, no, this is supposed to be the Lex Luthor we're meant to have.
Maybe we can agree that maybe they confused that a little bit in the way they
I think we can all agree that they should have kept Brian
Cranston. Oh, were they going to have Brian Cranston?
Yeah, no, he was going to be Lex Luthor. He signed on, and then he walked in, slapped their ass, and sat on his couch.
Then he read the script. Then he read the script, and he was like, "No."
I mean, but Bryan Cranston would not have fit in the role that Jesse Eisenberg was doing. Because
yes, he would have. If it was,
they would have had to rewrite that thing though, because he's way too young.
He would have been Lex Luthor. He would have been a perfect Lex Luthor.
I think he would have been a perfect Lex Luthor, but not with the way that this script is written.
Yeah, probably not. Not with the way. Okay, fair enough.
Like, honestly, and again, like I'm not saying this is garbage. Like, it's one of the better movies that I've seen at the movie theater this year, in my opinion. but I haven't seen a lot of great movies this year so far. And maybe that's just me. I don't know. As far as seeing great film, can you think of anything great that's come out in the theater so far, like this year? No. Yeah.
The Witch.
Okay, I'll give you
I
that.
still need to see that.
I'll give you that. But besides that, like, can you? I mean, certainly for like the big, large movies, like this is the better one.
This is kind of the first big movie we've. Well,
Gods of Egypt.
Oh Jesus fucking! Don't even get me started on that.
You mean Canon Films returns?
Oh, dude, it's bad. Like, it's R.I.P. everybody involved in that movie.
Bad it is.
For anybody,
Game of Thrones characters.
people who want to like criticize Batman versus Superman for wasting money on something need to all be like prerequisite. Needs to be that they have to sit down and watch Gods of Egypt.
I got sent I think I got sent the press release for Gods of Egypt.
Ugh.
Don't do it, Chad. Don't ask for
Well,
it.
no, I even if that's the movie I'm looking at, I don't know. Was it? I don't even remember. I'm too tired. Fuck it. But I got some press release for some shitty movie that just came out, and I was like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck this shit.
If they were like, hey, we have a screener copy of Gods of Egypt, would you like to review this? I would be
I'd
like,
say
no,
yes.
thank you.
No, because I do want to see if this is as bad as everyone is telling me.
It's bad. Like, it is, like, anyone who says that Batman vs. Superman is a train wreck, like, that movie is like a global disaster.
Literally.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, and that's
Touché.
the epitome of like completely missing the mark. I mean, I don't know, but at the end of the day, like, I liked it a lot. I think it has problems, but I didn't really give a shit for the most part. But people that are like, this is a perfect movie and it's flawless, like, I don't buy that for a second. I think it's problematic, but I get it that if you grew up and you liked a lot of this stuff and this was like something that actually meant something to you, then, you know, it's probably going to affect you differently than it affected me. And that's fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell you right now, I got a kid, and when I watch some of these movies and they have the bullshit, like, parenting stuff that happens in it where, like, one of the parents dies or, like, the kid dies or something, like, it probably affects me different than it does to somebody that doesn't have any children. Right?
True.
So
That I know of.
that I know of. Jesse's got, like, 18 kids. He just doesn't know their names.
Why bother?
Little easy. So anyway, yeah, that's my final thoughts on it, I guess. I could probably go on, but it's not a perfect movie, but I don't think that it is a bad movie, and I actually think it's pretty good. And anyone who's listened to this, I mean, we've probably spoiled some stuff, but I would encourage you to go watch it and decide for yourself. But for God's sakes, please don't fucking fight with people about it online. Just, if you don't agree, then fine, whatever. But it just makes everybody look stupid when people are like screaming at each other about it.
Go read a book.
For real, like, just go read a book. Read a book. So that's all I got. You guys got any more thoughts that you want to talk about with the movie, or?
I'm gonna go pass out.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, that's about to be it then, I guess, for this week. So it sounds like we all at least agree that this movie's not as bad as people have said.
Nope.
I think Chad probably likes it most.
I'm sure that I'm the only one that has given it as much praise as I think I've been the biggest
supporter of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you're
I think so.
Cutting out, so
I think I
having to
am. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think I'm the biggest.
It's the magic hour.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, it is pornography hour. Uh-oh.
I'm so tired right now.
maybe Chad's mother is like torrenting a bunch of stuff right now.
Oh,
might be. No. This is not the internet connection. Actually, Chad's internet connection at his mom's house is better than it is at his normal house.
Is it really? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can hear you really
basement,
clear. There's been very little quality issues. I think it might be your headset though,
Yeah,
because
it's gonna have to be upgrade time.
it keeps
Um,
like switching to the little mute symbol.
Oh my
So
gosh, I'm so pissed with that.
the
So
other times it just drops out.
all right. So my point is, I'm the biggest supporter, but and I've been raving about how much I love this movie. But I am the very first person to admit that it has so many flaws and that there's so much to take away and say, that wasn't so hot. So it's not a perfect movie, but for me, it's ever more.
Okay. No, I can agree with that. I can agree with that, man. Like for sure. And Jesse, did you have any final thoughts to put out there into this world?
Not really. I think I liked it probably least out of all of us, but I didn't hate it, and I don't think it is worthy of either you loved it or you hate it arguments that are out there right now. There definitely was some cool stuff in it. There was definitely some stuff in it that kind of made my eyes roll. But
That happens.
you could do much worse, like Gods of Egypt. So there's always that.
All right, and I liked it. You know, I think it's a better film than Man of Steel. I feel like it's got a lot of problems, but again, I understand why there's those problems, and I just hope that they will fix them and learn from them this time around. We'll see. I mean, I guess James Wan is going to be doing the Aquaman movie, so I'm looking forward to that. What's up?
I said whoop whoop.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody said who. I was like, oh, James Wan.
James Wan.
The only like Asian guy directing lots of movies in Hollywood right now.
Diversity.
I'm looking forward to the Wonder Woman movie just because.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's a great Wonder Woman, and I have no problem looking at her either. As creepy as that may sound to you, I don't care. And I want to see I want to see a Batman movie that's just Batman too. Like I would be fine with that. Like,
sure.
I think that when they let Ben Affleck do his thing in the movie, he was really good. And Superman stuff. Like, I mean, he'll be back. I know that obviously, but Henry Cavill's not terrible. I think he's all right. He's probably the best Superman
he
we've
looks
had in a
it.
while.
He does. He definitely looks like.
He's got that. He definitely looks like Clark Kent to me.
Well, that's another thing that we could just joke about for days is just the fact that like Clark Kent and Superman die on the same day and they look the exact same and nobody's fucking knowing. All he's doing is literally putting on a pair of glasses and a suit.
That's I mean that's always been the.
I know, but like, come on. And for God's sakes, like, either kill Lois Lane or give her something to do.
Oh, please kill her.
Or like just write her as a better character. Like it's one of those situations where like you keep doing this to this character and you're just setting back like female characters back like 20, 30 years. Like you gotta do something, please.
Oh, Jesse was gonna say write her a letter.
You could do that.
But and I gotta give Zack Snyder credit, at least like for casting wise. Like, he is pretty good at casting people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel even the characters that were not good, I feel like they were mostly good choices for casting. With the one exception being possibly Jesse Eisenberg, which I still feel like he could have done something else. But for Lex Luthor, maybe not. But I mean, Amy Adams isn't bad. I like her a lot. I just don't like her character in these movies because I feel like she's literally like almost worse than the Maggie Gyllenhaal character from the Nolan Dark Knight movies, where she just exists to get kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
and it's kind of just like you like, come on, guys. You got this movie full of guys being strong and you can't do this for the girl. Come on.
Dawn of Muscles.
But that Wonder Woman though.
I think that's gonna be a good movie. I hope so. So
she's got a good score when she shows up.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the fucking shit with
It's like-
all the drums. That was another thing. Like the score was like
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer with Junkie XL. So it's basically like Mad Max Fury Road literally meets the stuff from The Dark Knight. And I was like, like that's all right. Like I like the score. I mean, even the Superman theme when it kind of shows up is all right. I just
Yeah, that's good.
feel like they didn't do enough with the Batman stuff, maybe. But again, I don't know. Maybe we'll get that later. Like we'll see. It's obviously a different world. It's a whole new world. So we'll see where they go.
New.
So with that being said, we'll be back next week. We might be reviewing that Hardcore Henry movie, I guess, if that comes out this weekend. So that'll be interesting. But again, as always, what'd you say?
Charles Copley.
Oh God,
Switchy Cope.
He just, yeah. But yeah, as always, if you want to keep up with that, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at deadairjeff. Jesse is at Destroy Superman. Chad is at Horror Movie Barbecue. And you can always find us on Facebook. So that way you'll be able to know what's going on with that. And again, subscribe to us if you use iTunes or any of that stuff. And that's the best way to make sure that you always know what we're going to be reviewing next. But we will be back next week with something or another. And I guess that's really it. So until next week, you guys, just love one another. Don't argue on the internet. Don't be stupid. Don't be a dick. And don't fucking die.
Bow, bow.
So we'll see you guys.
See you guys. See you, Jeff.
Later.
Is the darkness very white? Bright flashes, your cheeks flushed. Don't say it, don't say it. Because it's still a part of you. It's a part of me as well. We can watch it from a distance. Resistance is futile. Don't shiver from cold out. The sunrise is brutal. Asleep on the full out. Your lungs are going up. We stutter, ecstatic. Eyes flutter like an addict, and it's still a part of you. It's a part of me as well. We can watch it from a distance. Resistance is futile. Don't shiver from cold out. The sunrise is brutal. Asleep on the full out. It's never gonna restorate. Beauty always complicates. All the simple joy, the simple boy. You finally had a taste. Darkness let you down. It's just static, there's no sound. Don't say it, don't say it. Because it's still a part of you. It's a part of me as well. We can watch it from a distance. Resistance is futile. Don't shiver from cold out. The sunrise is brutal. Asleep on the full out. It's never gonna last great. Beauty always complicates. All the simple joy, the simple boy. You finally had a taste. Resistance is futile. Don't shiver from cold out. The sunrise is brutal. The silly bugger pull out.